But it, like it being republished in printed form, or how it happens?
I mean, in common, quite often these days, there was a very, very small print run because it is available online at the RSE website.
Yeah, somehow giving people a copy has more impact. But
Yeah,
yes, I understand.
if you're particularly interested, ask Fraser, the guy in the light blue shirt. He'll know the exact story.
Thanks very much.
Thank you.
Really appreciate it.
Well, that's good.
And you need support.
No, I'm performing this morning. And I am performing on Monday at Target Tuesday.
Oh,
So that's another one.
busy.
And then
Thank you. Sorry, no worries. Yeah, we'll just get started straight away. Sorry, no worries. Thank you. You're fine. It's just,
so I sit on this side,
Yeah.
and I've been told I press a button.
Hello, conference. We will shortly be resuming with the afternoon's plenary. We'll give a couple more moments.
What? Yes. Yes. Okay, what do I do?
Okay, so at the moment, what we just need to do is press that and then press play. And that
Eight and play.
starts the clock.
Okay.
And then you can stop it by doing that. So that's what we need to do just at the minute.
Okay.
But we're going to, just
Are you chairing the ASN motion?
No.
Are you doing that?
no,
Do you know
it's
who?
Kevin Lang, I think.
Yeah.
Kevin.
But your speaker's card, just take it over.
Yes, I know, but there's a major typo in that because it
Okay.
says ANS, not ASN.
Okay.
So it's, just to let you know.
Conference. We will now resume with SD2, that is reducing the harm caused by smoking. We have no amendments to that motion. However, we will take the voting in a couple of different ways. So when we get to the stage of the voting, we will be asking, and if you please look very carefully at the motion, when we go to lines 23 to 27, there are essentially two questions that we are asking of conference. The first is whether you support or oppose the first proposition, and the second is whether you support or oppose the second proposition. We will then move to vote for the entire motion as a whole. Now, you guys are the good guys because you will
I think that alcohol causes a massive amount of deaths, a massive amount of NHS referrals, the same as smoking. There's slightly less than smoking, but still significant. So are we banning everything, or are we not? And I think that this will be extremely difficult to police, and I just don't see how it can go forward. And yes, I think when you go to a hospital, you have to then fight your way through all the smoke, even though they've tried to say people have to go elsewhere to smoke outside the hospital. But there is no one there to police that. If this legislation, there's absolutely no way that this can be policed at all. I do not believe that they can do that, and I don't think that we should support it. I do think there should be better education with regards to smoking. I work with young people who vape constantly. It's illegal. They can't be doing it, but they are. So I think that there should be better education. There should be a lot more funding for early intervention. I work for a charity. Trying to get funding is impossible. But if there was funding there, at least we could be providing early intervention that people wouldn't start smoking, start vaping, start drinking alcohol in the first place. So I ask conference to support the motion and to oppose the introduction of an escalating age ban and oppose further restrictions on outdoor smoking. Thank you.
Hello. On 13 years I've been on this planet, I've learned that rules are rubbish. I sometimes have to go to bed when I'm told. Sometimes I don't get my dessert unless I finish my dinner. Forget about having a chocolate bar before dinner. That is an absolute no. I got an argument with my brother, and now I'm not allowed my PlayStation. I'm not saying my dad's a bad dad. Hi, Dad. But sometimes he puts rules in place. Sometimes he doesn't let me do the things I want to do. However, I don't think he does this to me. I think he does this because he wants to help me. Sometimes in life, we need rules to help us. But should the government ban smoking? I think it should. The reality is that smoking is a problem, and sometimes it's not very nice. This should include vaping. I reckon a quarter of the older kids in my school vape, and they don't do it because it's cool. It doesn't help that they are easily accessible. I could go to my local corner shop and buy a fizzy watermelon vape for £5. This is simply unacceptable. Vape companies also seem to target younger people like me. They are advertised on social media, and that is not cool. The other day there, I was walking past an adult who blew smoke literally into my face. They didn't mean it, but I was walking past them, and they did. Do they not realise passive smoking is a thing? And it is the same with the person who's vaping, because it's healthier. They didn't care when they blew out their cherry flavour vape. Okay, you like the taste, but I don't want it. My dad and I were discussing if the government should get involved in insurance, but I think this is different. This is why I love the Bad Boy Doner kebab. It's the best and greasiest thing you've ever seen. It's a mix of kebab meat, chicken, spicy chilies, and even healthy things like lettuce and tomatoes. But really, I know it's not good for me. It's not healthy. Dad says I can't order it every time. But I don't think the government should ban the Bad Boy Doner, because me choosing the Bad Boy Doner doesn't hurt others. The same is not true for smoking, unfortunately. It does harm others. Passive smoking is harmful. If you live in a family with a smoker, or you happen to pass a smoker, or similar. When things are harmful to others, we should act. So this I'm Eloise. I work in Edinburgh West for Alex and Christine and our ever-growing group of Edinburgh councillors. It's my first time speaking at conference, so I want to thank Adam for bringing this up because I think it's really important to discuss. I am the big bad evil person now after going out to Noah, and it's fantastic because I've smoked for years. I'm 24, started really young. So I think it is something that's really important to discuss. I've struggled myself with addiction to smoking. I've tried to quit. It's really difficult, so I understand firsthand how a ban is effective in terms of reducing smoking for people. We all know the dangers. We all know the fears. You see it on the path. I'm reminded every day about how awful it is, and it is absolutely something that I want to quit. It's not easy. It's just waking up in the morning and deciding not to. We deserve, for smokers, people struggling with addiction, we deserve to give them more support. They deserve a better way than all-out bans of shunning them from society as if they're awful people. We can do better to reduce smoking and the health implications that comes with. Not to mention that we know from history prohibition doesn't work. It will still happen. It will be more dangerous. It will be unregulated. There's better ways to go about helping, as well as the possible contradictions that might happen when we have done so much other work in terms of legalising marijuana in our stance. I'm not against society. I hope my future children never have the stresses that I've had as a vice, but I think there is a better, more conducive way and a more realistic in reducing smoking. Thank you.
Thank you. I will welcome you to the platform. Thank you.
Conference, I agree wholly with Adam. And it's great to be debating something that gets so deep into the depths of our liberal faith, for a faith it is. I'm a member of two faith organisations, one is the Church of Scotland, and the other really zealous evangelical one that sends me door to door preaching the gospel to the unconverted is, of course, the Scottish Liberal Democrats. And let me quote directly from our vote. He writes, "The only purpose for which power can be exercised over any member of a civilized community against his will is to prevent harm to others. His own good, either physical or moral, is not a sufficient warrant. He cannot rightfully be compelled to do because it will be better for him to do so. There are reasons for remonstrating with him, reasoning with him, persuading him, but not for compelling him." And it is always him, like other holy books, this is written in a past male-dominated world. Let's ask, it's obvious what this means for the escalating age limit. That is exercising power over people. And to do that, because smoking is bad for them, is not sufficient, according to what I've just quoted. To rephrase, thou shalt not ban stuff just because it's bad for the people doing it. Our only option as liberals is to choose option 1B. And let's make a political argument for a second. I find too many people have to ask, what is the point of the Liberal Democrats? And here's a golden opportunity to give a decisive answer. To say, our point is to treat people like adults and not, to quote again, children or savages unready for admission to the privileges of freedom. Adults should be free to make their own decisions as long as those don't harm others. So I support the idea of restricted spaces, but liberals should seek to educate rather than regulate, to persuade, not to compel. And the other, politically again, the other major parties, as far as I know, are in favour of this escalating age limit. And it's probably popular because people on the whole love banning things that other people do. But liberals, it's forbidden by our ancient texts. So let us support this motion with option 1B. Thank you.
Thanks. How do you follow that? I am also a follower of the faith. I'm actually a GP, so I deal with this every week. Conversations about making bad choices. The bit I wanted to throw in at the beginning, I'm actually here from the newly formed Midlothian and Scottish Borders Liberal Democrats. to a minibus full of delegates. It's so exciting. But back to the issue at hand. Basically, we are a part of the evidence. I want to say, of course we are. We follow the evidence, not dollar. Ken Clark, anyone? British American Tobacco Health Secretary? We are not that party. We are better than that. But principles collide, and that's where we get ourselves hamstrung as Liberal Democrats. We are thoughtful people, and things collide. Because actually the right to choose, if you have capacity, even if it's a bad choice, it's at the heart of a liberal society. I do not criticise those that get helicoptered off the hill in Glencoe for their bad choice in the winter. I do not discriminate between worthy health issues and the unworthy. There's just something that tobacco shaming, fat shaming, you name it. There's loads of things that are bad for you. I could go on, but we haven't got time. But sugar and alcohol would be big too. We need to legalise cannabis. Of course we do, and tax the hell out of it, but that's not this motion. Okay, so 1B, just quickly, oppose the introduction of escalating limit. Yeah, but follow the evidence. There's a nuanced thing here. Maybe take it to 21 if the Royal College of Paediatricians have really got a really good argument, because that may impact the vulnerable teenager starting, because there's about a 2 or 3 year lag. So if you have a ban on 18, you start at 15 these days. So we maybe need to do the maths around that. But escalating to 51, crazy. 2B, oppose the restriction where it doesn't affect other people. Let's not actually specify what that looks like. If the shelter means that you are inhaling other people's, outdoor shelter, sorry, is you're inhaling other people's smoke, then yeah, we need to look at the evidence for that. But let's not be too prescriptive. That's not us. Levy, yes, please. We know that price effect, that has been the major public health decision made that actually has, the evidence shows that the reduction in smoking is mainly affected by price and not what your GP says. So, they must pay, and this is a really great motion. Thank you.
Yes, good afternoon, conference. Yeah, we all want to reduce smoking to create a healthy society, but that is fair to everyone. Is age discrimination the answer? We are used to seeing minors getting challenged for their age, but those in their 30s, 40s, even 50s, how would that look? Policing that would be a nightmare. I used to smoke 200 cigarettes a week. I packed in smoking in 1987. So what made me give up the nasty weed? It was the growing unacceptability of smoking. More and more places were putting up signs, no smoking signs. For me, it was nothing to do with health reasons. I was just not prepared to stand outside in the cold having a smoke. I have noticed a certain camaraderie of the people in smoking areas outside with younger folks vaping and also learning the pleasures of smoking. We must be careful not to force the smoke around, because you prohibit the use of drugs. Certain drugs does not mean that they will disappear. We all know the problems with cannabis, marijuana, cocaine, etc. Are we going to add tobacco to the list? I say these things, other methods to discourage folk smoking, like increasing taxes on cigarettes to clean up the fag ends around on the street, no smoking near entrances to any buildings. In Aberdeen Airport, they have a smoking room for those who are desperate for a drag. And it, I say a room, it's very exposed actually to the outside air. This room costs £2 per person just for a smoke, and there's lots of people who use it. And to go in, you have to go through an airlock system, although many try to squeeze through in.
the airport staff have a good laugh at that's monitored on the cameras. Have a good laugh at people going on their shoulders and everything. So yes, yes. So I would like to please vote for 1B against escalating age and 2A. Thank you. Conference, good afternoon. I spent my professional career as a senior manager in the health service and was the executive at Ninemorse Hospital in Dundee. And outside Ninemorse Hospital, you had a group of smokers right at the entrance. So that everybody coming into the hospital had to pass through the smog of the smoking. I'm worried about this motion. I understand the issues that other speakers have put forward, but we as a party were the party that helped introduce a ban on smoking in public places. And my concern here is that this goes against what we have stood for in the past. Yes, we should be aiming for a smoke-free country, and I recognise that progress is being made, but I am very anxious that if we pass this motion, we will be portrayed as being in support of smoking. I don't want that. If you talk to health professionals, and I was also director of Scotland's unit in Glasgow, they will tell you that getting rid of smoking is the single biggest thing that we can do to improve the nation's health. I think we should be supporting all efforts to do that. Thank you.
Please be reminded, in order to vote, you must take the seat. If you are guarding the ends of rows, you begin, particularly when we go to the legal speech later thing, we will need to.
Thank you, Paul. Tim makes a point there about Ninemorse Hospital. I have to be up there and go and get the British and family issues. There isn't people like going to stars and your eyes when you walk in that place. And I would be Roy Office if anybody was wondering. So I'd like so that would be my choice, and I will know that when we had a karaoke evening back in 2018. But I would like to speak in favour of option 1A and line 23 of the rolling age limit. This is a change of mind for myself, which anybody that knows me is not something I'm prone to doing. I've given the matter a lot of consideration. The worry around freedom is one that we as Liberals must put at the forefront of all of our considerations. So should Liberals really be in the business of banning cigarettes? In this case, I have arrived at an answer that even surprised myself. Individual freedom is not always reason against policy. Quite the opposite, in my opinion. Freedom speaks in this policy's favour. First, we care about values sometimes other than freedom. Values can sometimes conflict. And because smoking is a leading cause of preventable illness and death, health concerns might well outweigh freedom. George Stuart Mill, who I studied for 4 years, individuals should be free to act as they wish, as long as they do not cause harm to others. I originally felt no, that's why I wouldn't back this ban. But then I considered the following statistics of passive smoking. The Royal College of Physicians estimate every year in the UK, children's exposure to smoke has led to over 20,000 cases of lower respiratory tract infections, 120,000 cases of middle ear disease, 22,000 new cases of wheezing asthma, 200 cases of bacterial meningitis, and 40 sudden infant deaths, accounting for 1 in 5 of all SIVs. We also know that passive smoking increases the chances of heart disease by 25%, lung cancer by 24%, and have been associated with a 40% increased risk of developing cervical tumours, all in non-smokers. If that is not harm, I'm struggling to see what is. I have therefore concluded that a ban proposed is justified in line with the harm principle. And then for me is the second powerful argument. We do not need to weigh freedom against other values. Freedom itself explains and supports a partial ban. John Stuart Mill, who's been quoted a lot today, was very much pro-freedom and anti-interference in the state. I think we can all accept that. But he had exceptions. For example, in On Liberty, his book,
he argued that we should ban slavery contracts even when they are voluntary. By selling himself into slavery, he abdicates his liberty. He forgoes all future use of it beyond that single act. The principle of freedom cannot require that he should be free not to be free. Now, slavery and smoking are two entirely different things, but smoking still carries a substantial risk. In expectation, if you become addicted to cigarettes, your future freedom will shrink remarkably. Your life expectancy goes down by 10 to 15 years, restricting your future life expectancy. Thank you. Your options decrease accordingly, and indeed you have zero options when you're dead. Cigarettes also worse on your health, which in turn reduce your physical options and thus your freedom when you're alive. Your financial freedom is reduced. 3 out of 4 smokers wish they could stop but cannot. So for me, in short, addiction restricts freedom. It's for those reasons I would encourage you to back 1A in the motion for freedom and for health. Thank you.
And a reminder, we will move to a vote. In order to vote,
Conference, what a fantastic debate. And I'd like to thank Adam for backing a motion so much in the spirit of our party. Or motions referring to John Stuart Mill, I'm sure we would all welcome. Conference, I'm going to start with a confession. I haven't had a cigarette since 24th of November 2019. Some of you will have done the maths and realised that's in the middle of general election, so I'm not quite sure how I managed that. But the fact that it was my last cigarette was my choice. My first cigarette was my choice. And as Adam said, we believe people should be able to make those choices just as I did. Fraser, thank you for agreeing with Adam, absolutely. And I'm sorry about the maths, I struggle with that also. I have not even dared to try and figure that out. But I appreciate hearing the journey you've been on, and it definitely resonates with me. Chris, wherever you are, I'm really sorry your position doesn't resonate with Adam and I, but obviously grateful for your thoughts. Ian made a fantastic point about the effects of secondhand smoking on those with conditions that are perhaps invisible. Somebody with an invisible condition, I really appreciated that. Fiona, your point about Kit Kats, they are my favourite as well, particularly the chunky ones. And your point about the government having a say on your shopping basket really summed up, I think, the spirit of what we are trying to say here. Noah, you're the best. Rules are rubbish. You made a fantastic point about the problem with vaping companies targeting young people, and we absolutely have to tackle that. Eloise, you humanise what we are trying to say here. It's very easy to forget that addiction is about how you treat people. Thanks for that. So I really appreciated that. Human elements cannot be forgotten in this debate. Drummond, I feel like you might have been rescued from Glencoe at some point, wherever you are. But you're absolutely right, evidence is key here, and whatever happens, I hope that we follow that. Tim, I accept your point. I don't think what we are proposing here goes against what we have done before, as you said. And Daniel, I appreciate that the journey you've been on a journey as well, and your position shows exactly how our values can land on either side of the argument, which is exactly, I think, what Adam has sought to do with this motion. Conference, I don't need to tell you the pressure the health service is under. I know from personal experience the impact of cancer on a family, the NHS, and beyond. And trust me when I say I want to reduce the number of people who have to embark on that journey more than you know. I am confident, however, that we can support the NHS whilst holding true to our values. Because to legislate, to dictate people in this way feels like a slippery slope to state intervention, which I just cannot condone. We have to look at the source of the problem. That's not talked about enough, in my opinion. Why do people start smoking? What is the root cause of this? There's a societal issue that we have to tackle here, and we're not really talking about it. And banning is simply a sticking plaster, and there are consequences of doing that we have to acknowledge. In my opinion, it's the easy option. It's not necessarily the right option. Now, obviously, big room of Lib Dems, banning things is not in our DNA, not in a lot of our DNAs, not in mine. But as Adam has said, I have no issue with a hard stop on smoking outside schools, hospitals and playgrounds. I think that makes perfect sense. I believe we can be a world leader conference in tackling smoking in this country, but simply in a different way to what the Labour Party wants to do. So oppose the rolling age limit, support the outdoor ban, and let's stay true to who we are. Thank you. And that's all.
Thank you. Okay, as I stated earlier, we will move to three votes. The first vote is on line 23 to 25, and the proposition is for the vote. The second vote will be on line 26 to 27, and again, the proposition is for opposed. So the first vote is regarding estimated age limit, and the second vote is regarding actual voting. I think the third vote will be the motion as a whole, depending on how we accept it. So I move now to the first vote. Okay, I have not received the positive. Yes, and I do believe so. Many people here, if they need to be a separate written request, I've made that point when you said I mean, standing order certainly, anyway, we're sorry for calling this standing order, we are moving forward, but we will go to those votes. So, we move to the first vote. So that is, remind myself, line 23 to 25. Can I see those in favour and regarding this engagement, those in favour of supporting the escalating age? And those against? So, well, sorry, opposed. So that is clearly the proposition. Now we move to line 26-27 regarding actual voting rules. And again, we have those who support the escalating, sorry, the outdoor, sorry, further restricting outdoor smoking. So those who support. Thank you. And those against. Those who support. Those who are against. Okay, and second round of clearly support. Okay, so second proposition is support. So I now ask for those who support for the motion as a whole. And for those against the motion as a whole. Thank you. It is clearly carried. I am now passing over to Kevin Lang. Okay, conference, I'm very conscious of time, so we're going to move on very swiftly. I'm terribly sorry that we don't have multiple options in this debate to get going. So we now come on to the next motion, which is addressing the shortfall in ASM teachers and PSAs. If I can ask Brendan Fox, bye, and I'm going to call Charlotte O'Clay from Exeter, Roxburgh and Berkshire to move the main motion, and as she comes to the stage, those people who are new have asked to do so quickly and quietly, so we can start the next debate. Charlotte.
Thank you everyone for coming to conference, and thank you for debating this very important motion to help improve education in Scotland. This motion highlights concerns about the growing shortage of additional support needs teachers and pupil support assistants. These shortages have been exacerbated by the poor governance of the Scottish National Party as well as budget cuts in councils, particularly impacting support for deaf, visually impaired, and autistic students in the field. These cuts are leading to job losses and worsening the attainment gap, with pupils from disadvantaged backgrounds and those with ASN suffering the most. Additionally, the consequences from COVID, where the assumption was that every child had a laptop or a secure wireless connection, was highly inaccurate. This motion stresses the need for proper resources to ensure all pupils, regardless of background or ability, can achieve their potential. To summarize, the motion calls for a national strategy to improve recruitment and retention of CSAs, a guaranteed minimum level of in-class support by protecting the pupil equity funding, job security for educational staff, direct funding from the Scottish Government to support ASN staff, especially in roles like qualified teachers for the deaf and qualified teachers for the visually impaired. Targeting training programs with bursaries to encourage specialization in supporting deaf and visually impaired students. It is important that we make sure every child has an equal opportunity for success. We have the right teachers helping them to succeed. This motion seeks this opportunity and to make sure that every child's needs are addressed adequately. On a personal note, my college friend found out that her child was born deaf. She decided to learn sign language and had a tough time finding resources, but eventually was able to get those resources she needed and support for her and her family. In keeping with a personal note, my middle name is Sarah. The family motto is say and do. So, conference, let's not just say what we want to accomplish, but let's do what we can to improve education for all children in Scotland and get more ASN teachers and CSAs. Conference, let's pass this motion. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Charlotte. If I could have full calamity for Raven Fox. Raven.
Oops, sorry. There we go. Hi there. Yeah, I'm a secondary school teacher working class. But primary school area requiring more and more focused expertise and training. PSAs have started teaching increasingly more and more and being extremely stressful. Therefore, there's lots of absence also, which further diminishes teacher support. We need a better national strategy. We need more staff, not less. We need more specialists. Additional support staff should not be renegotiating contracts. Keep practice like and the values. Disrespect their importance and necessity. I'm a chartered teacher based in Perth, and I see firsthand how hard additional support needs staff work. I completely support this policy. So does every single teacher. I know. So that's good one.
Thank you. I can have Jean Morgan stand by, and I know for Councillor Palmer from
I'll take that as a vote of confidence. I wanted to speak to this because I had a recent experience sitting on a personal field. And it was to do with PSA. There are a couple of things from that which I would like to share with you. First one is that normally leaders is one. But this actually is a collection of people, 6. And some of the conditions that they describe, I really want to highlight, because when we talk about ASN people, what we are increasingly saying is ASN people also with complex needs. And it's the complex needs that we want to focus on. So this dissertation talks about the fact that if the child needs to go to toilet, they would need 2 PSAs to take them there. Second, it's really actually in our normal kind of life we just don't experience. And that is that it took an hour for that child to 2 PSAs to deal with that single incident. So if we think on that, it means that in a class that ought to have 2 PSAs, and normally they don't, they'll have 1, it means that 2 people are out for an hour, and that child is also out. The other thing that struck me about the deputation is recruitment practice. Now, I'll speak about Edinburgh, it might be different in other local authorities, but I think it's pertinent. And what they raised was this, that they wanted to be able to recruit PSAs locally. And that would help because the pay is extremely high. And in actual fact, if somebody was local, they would be on standby and accessible at short notice. But in Edinburgh, it's centrally done. So what they were asking for, which is reasonable, is the permission to actually recruit locally rather than go through central systems. Now I share those with you because I really believe in this motion, particularly when I looked at lines 53 to 55. I know this is about broad-based, it is about teachers, but I thought back to those PSAs. I want us to think about those people that sacrifice an awful lot, very, very high attention, and do quite an amazing job. So with that, please, support this motion.
Hello there, my name is James McMorty and I live in Peebles. Ladies and gentlemen, I rise to support the motion today. I am a teacher at my local high school. I work with a great team of ASN teachers in our school, and I want to start today by saying that our ASN teachers are unsung heroes to whom we all owe a debt of gratitude. As the motion states, the number of students with additional support has doubled over the past decade. Let me tell you what that looks like in the classroom. In my S3 Mods class on a Monday morning, out of a class of 27, 20 had ASN needs. Of our school's 4 ASN teachers to help with this class. That one teacher works alongside 5 of our young people, and an S6 helper helps me provide some additional support to the rest. With this help, I can just about muddle through and provide for all of my students. But our children deserve better, and so too do our ASN staff. We need to have more ASN teachers, not less. ASN teachers need to feel valued and supported through enhanced training and a parity of esteem that recognise they are not just another body in the classroom. They are a core member of the staff team. They need career progression options that recognise their contribution and the importance of their learned experience in the classroom. And above all else, they deserve the certainty of knowing true job security. But this motion is just a start. In the last election, the SNP promised all teachers an extra hour a week to plan. A promise that is still unfulfilled, by the way. Think of what we could do at that time. How radical would it be if classroom teachers had an extra hour and could spend that time coordinating and planning with ASN teachers? How radical would it be if classroom teachers could use that time to further adapt their resources? Just this week, I spent over an hour one evening adapting a class test 4 different ways so that students could. Conference, let's start by passing this motion. And then let's keep the pressure up. There is much to do, and with sustained focus, we can deliver a better future for all our young people. Thank you. The wait no to the 10th.
confidence. I feel embarrassed, I feel ashamed, and I feel angry. Very recently, I was invited by the head teacher of a little special school to visit. I feel embarrassed because despite having lived in the 50 years area, we haven't been in the 2.5 years. That was accepted. When I visited, I found something, many things that made me thoroughly ashamed. Both of my wider community, my council, and perhaps the nation as a whole. I found a facility for 28 people created me with an outdoor space that was entirely concrete, not a blade of grass, not a I found a building that was 120 years old. Had been a primary school for most of that time, and then very clearly said, be considered, that'll be surveying. I found sensory rooms, one sensory room, sorry, which was less than half equipped because we didn't have budget for the space overnight. I found a quiet room that was easily a pass solitary cell. That made me angry. The only motion was that facility. So I'd like you to share my embarrassment, share my shame, share my anger, and support this motion.
Thank you, DJ. I have not Bruce to stand by.
Conference. I'm lucky enough to be education spokesperson for our growing group in Edinburgh Council. As the lowest funded local authority per head in the country, we know better than most the harsh reality of the Scottish Government capacity and local government finance. In the education sphere, that's currently manifesting itself in our review of our entire food service. This poses serious risks to the provision in our city. Many posts are at risk of disappearing completely. In the context of already strained resources and skyrocketing additional support needs, this is incredibly strange. Understandably, parents who have fought tooth and nail for the limited services they already get are terrified of what this means to their children. After years waiting for diagnosis and plans being put in place, this isn't getting it right for every child. We need a liberal response to this crisis, which is affecting every local authority. Of course, that is first and foremost reversing brutal cuts to council funding. But it's also building a new partnership between parents, teachers and councils to get a model which works for everyone. And it cannot be a one-size-fits-all model for all. Of course, the presumption of mainstreaming has been a massive step forward. However, I think we need to be really careful with that presumption combined with the atmosphere of parts that we're currently experiencing. It's really undermining getting it right for every child. My cousin was lucky enough to be one of a tiny number of people at Scottish Autism Specialist School in the UK. It provided an incredible tailored atmosphere for its people. We simply couldn't cope in mainstream. As Liberals, we need to be fighting for that personalised experience for every age. Please support this motion and help those of us fighting the local authorities to get the resources and staff needs to let our children thrive.
Thank you very much. Confidence, I have a deaf daughter, a very substantially grown-up deaf daughter. And more than 30 years ago, Grampian Regional Council, as then was to build a new school for the deaf. The Conservative administration concluded that due to financial constraints, they should consider not proceeding with that. We organised a campaign and made this point, which is very relevant to the first part of this motion, which is if special needs
or dependent on the economic circumstances of the day, then special needs will never be adequately delivered. They have to be delivered in principle, on time, fully funded, and by legal right and commitment. And you'll be surprised to hear, because this was the days of Margaret Thatcher, the campaign succeeded, and the Conservative administration did build a school, and we still have a school in Aberdeen. In the Fringe meeting earlier on, I texted my daughter to say I was here, I was at the Fringe, and we had this motion. And I asked her to remind me of the name of the teacher she had at the school today. I got a reply, I'm not going to read it. She's identified every one of them by first name, second name, and subject. That's how much they meant to her, and we're talking 40 years ago that she did that. So all I really want to say is that all the time, because of the family circumstances, I have been a parliamentarian, a campaigner. I've done everything I can, nothing like enough, to support deaf people, deaf children. I think I'm a vice president of the National Deaf Children's Society, former trustee of the RNID, done many other things. But the point at the end of the day is, first of all, it's easy to say we can't afford it, and if the point being made, oh, we'll give you the best, the worst provide that's the minimum we can provide. But what we need is sustained funding. The disgrace is the numbers have gone up, the funding has gone down. World Conference, we have people in council, I hope they're doing something about it. We have people in Parliament, we have people in government. So if we mean this motion, we're going to have to commit to fund it properly and to make it a legal requirement for education authorities to deliver. I also support the motion, but recognise we're committing ourselves to put it in the manifesto and work out how we're going to pay for it.
Again, I'm very sorry.
Thank you very much. Thank you, conference, for allowing us to bring this debate that was a mini motion